welcome to Is It Fast Live, the weekly magazine programme brought to you by the people behind Is It Fast Media, Is It Fast TV, Is It Fast Sport, and all the other Is It Fast brands that we like to show off and brag about, where we handpick the best news from the world of motorsport, automotive. Sometimes we talk about boats. Today we're talking about things that go in the air, and we have absolutely zero automotive mechanical skill. I'll give you an example. Today I'm proud of myself because I changed my own windscreen wipers on my Volvo V70 workhorse. So well done to me. But thank you very much for tuning in. If you're watching us, hello. If you're listening to us, also hello.
Hello.
And yes, hello. The hello is universal, regardless of what sensory usage of tool that God gave us to absorb the beauties of... I'm rambling. And because I do ramble, I'm not on my own. To keep the tax man confused, we have another person called Stuart who keeps the rudder going in a perpendicular motion on Is It Fast Live. Hi, Stu.
Hi, Stu. Yeah, I'm definitely here to keep it between the navigational buoys. That's kind of really what I'm about here. But I'm really very impressed that you managed to change the windscreen wipers on your car. Well done.
It sounds like one of those easy jobs. You never pay Halford £2 more per screen wiper.
No way. No.
Exactly. You just think, listen.
That's just definitely handed your man card right now. There's no point in doing that.
Exactly. Yeah. So I got my brand new Bosch windscreen wipers delivered. I did it myself. But they can sometimes be a little bit fiddly. But nevertheless, fear not, listener, we've managed to get that done. What can you expect from the show today? Well, it's all very exciting, as per usual. We are exploring the very first flying car race that has happened on this planet. I say that with an asterisk because there might have been others. We talk about the brand new Toyota Aygo, Apollo 13, unlucky for some, but it was visionary. We talk about the Apollo EVision S. There was a very small motor race at the weekend. We have a little chat about what that means for F1. Sticking with F1, we talk about a brand new watch that celebrates one of the best races of all time. Without further ado, should we start with something very exciting? This is very, very exciting.
I found this really exciting when we saw this. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go with this one.
Let's go with this one. So, competition. As a human race, we enjoy it. We find new ways of competing with each other all the time. And there is a brand new competitive motorsport field. This week, we saw the very first, and this is incredible, we saw the very, very first Airspeeder drag race. So, Airspeeder is exactly what it sounds like and exactly what it is on the tin. It is the world's first flying car racing series, and they provided a taster this week of what to expect. They released a new video showing two teams contesting a drag race, which sounds bonkers, and I'll tell you for why, because it is. So, two speeders from two teams, Team Lauderdale Aeronautics, who manufacture the four-rotor machine, battled it out in the South Australian desert. So Team Bravo was led by technical project manager Brett Hill, while Team Alpha, so those were the two teams, were led by operations manager or pilot, whatever, Renee Fraser. So these two teams battled it out, very much a concept and a proof of concept of what we are going to see in 2022. But it's the very first EXA season next year, which will serve as a feeder series for the forthcoming Airspeeder racing series, where crewed electric flying cars will race at venues across the globe. So the two Airspeeders, or pod racers for you Star Wars fans out there, because they are essentially pod racers. These ones were unmanned. 129 brake horsepower powertrain. They are electric vertical and takeoff and landing vehicles, so civilian Harrier jump jets, and they're 100 kilograms without a human being in them, and that's what battled it out, and very, very exciting. They basically have these kind of weird boundary technology, which you can see as a spectator, but also keeps people safe because it means the computers know not to go outside of those boundaries. So very, very exciting. Are we? I mean, it's Airspeeders. What the hell?
Yeah, this is phenomenal. It is basically the pod racing from Phantom Menace. In reality, it is absolutely fantastic. Drag racing in the sky, what's not to love? We've always said this, that automakers and companies seem downright determined to make flying cars regardless of limitations and dangers that there really is out there. There's been countless concepts and plenty of promises, yet this seems to be quite a leap forward for me as well. They're not got wheels on them, so I'm not sure if the idea behind calling them cars is quite there. But this is very, very cool. That really reminds me of the flying vehicles that you got in the latest Blade Runner film, Blade Runner 2049. Very, very cool. And even just to see them taking off around the desert, the dust and the sand kind of all building up, I'd love to see this as real grid racing. And yeah, who knows, we'll hopefully will in the future.
Yeah, apparently next year, manned versions of these are going to be racing around the world. Sounds dangerous, probably is dangerous. That's why these first few tests are unmanned. But 150, 160 kilometers an hour, 4-way rotor blades, tracking off across the quarter mile for their first kind of trek into competitive racing. The crews got very excited, which I think is fair enough. Well done, obviously, to Team Bravo, who managed to take the inaugural win in the inaugural race. Got themselves a nice wooden propeller as a trophy, which is fair enough. Very, very smart. So very exciting. Obviously, it follows in the footsteps, I suppose, to a degree of drone racing, obviously, but this is human size. And the other interesting types of sport and motorsport that seem to be coming out over the next few years. We've got E-Series all-electric powerboat racing. We've had Extreme E make its debut this year with four-wheel drive electric cross-country racing. And then as we head into the future, we've got e-scooter racing. So there's all sorts of weird and wonderful additions to your more traditional motorsport on 2 and 4 wheels, which I am all for. I think it really does. First of all, there's just more excuses for people like us to sit in front of the TV or go and watch these things, which is awesome. But also, surely the breadth and width and breadth of innovation as a result of these championships is really what it's about. Motorsport has always been a place of innovation and change, which trickles down eventually to us normies. But what do you think at home? Tell us, are you excited that there are these 4-bladed electric Airspeeders flying cars? As you say, there's no wheels on them, so I'm not entirely sure what makes them flying cars. But are you excited about this? Is this something that you've seen already? Are you excited about it coming to television sets near you soon and or tablets and phones? Or is this just something that's just a bit weird and rubbish and quite niche and you're not going to bother watching? Tell us what you think. It seems to have quite big backing already from companies and businesses. So looks like a bright future, I imagine.
Yeah, here to stay. I think so.
I think so too. And you don't. Nobody crashed on the first run, which is always a good thing. You don't want someone crashing on the inaugural race. So that's well, if they did crash, we didn't see it. So that has to be a positive. And talking of positives, it is Movember. Those of you listening won't be able to see Stuart's beautifully shaven face sporting only what could be described as a Tash from Australia from 1987. But for those of you watching, well, you can see what's going on in front of you. But if you are waiting for your Tash to grow during Movember, then we have a series of informative videos to help you pass the time while your Mo is growing. Here is such a video.
the concentration on my face. I do want to point out that I didn't have to Google how to iron a shirt to do that.
Yeah. So while you're waiting for your mo to grow, why not iron that big pile of clothing that has been waiting to be done? Never fails to put a smile on my face. That video, our very own Stu ironing a shirt for exactly the length of time it takes to grow a mo. But of course, there is a serious message behind it. This is the month of Movember. Do what you can to help a bro in Movember. All the donation details are slathered around our social media pages. Stu, who has been an ambassador for 12 years. 12 years, raised thousands of pounds. And because we know things are a little tight, particularly this time of the year, and for all of us in general because of the last 12 months, never fear. Don't help. It doesn't always come in the form of cash money. Even if you just share the videos that are posted around our Facebook, Instagram, and I think on the website as well, potentially, then that is doing more than enough. We can only be better together. So thank you very much for everyone who gets involved.
Thank you very much.
On with the show. And Toyota this week gave us what we've all been waiting for, which is the brand new Aygo X. They did give us a very sneaky preview a few months ago about how this could possibly look, but the final version looks very similar to the Aygo that it replaces, but I think is pretty smart. So the new Aygo X, as the X suggests, is a urbanization, a mini SUV, if you will, of the Aygo. It takes over from the more conventional predecessor as the smallest model in Toyota's lineup, so it sits just beneath the Yaris. The Aygo X is 325 millimeters longer than the Aygo that came before it, 3,700 millimeters, and the wheelbase is 90 millimeters longer. So it is a slightly chunkier, bigger motor, but still pretty teeny tiny. But you do get 60 liters of additional boot space. So there you go. Cars are getting bigger, even the smaller ones. The Kygo, that's a good name for it. Kind of mixing cargo with Aygo there in my head somewhere. The Aygo X's cabin maintains quite a focus on being utilitarian, so relatively not sparse, but there's not a lot going on to distract you on the inside, which is not a bad thing. But it does have the updated 9-inch infotainment touchscreen and digital climate control panel, bringing it bang up to date with most other things in the Toyota range. It's got wireless smartphone charging and ambient lighting, among other standard features. It's a small car. It's a city car. It is there to be resourceful, but also pretty good on the old wallet, which means prices will start at around about £14,000, which makes it a pretty close rival for the Hyundai i10 and the Fiat Panda Cross, we think. But given that this is, I like the Aygo anyway. I have fond memories of Aygos, having had a go in a few of them over the years, and they're surprisingly pokey. What do we think? A suburban crossover, mini crossover? I don't know.
Yeah, really just a dinky crossover SUV that's just slightly taller and roomier than its current hatchback predecessor for it. Toyota has described it as new generation for accessible fun and style. There are quite a few kind of similar small city cars that are offering their kind of like jacked up SUV inspired ones. You obviously mentioned the Toyota as well as the Fiat Panda as well there. Suzuki Ignis as well.
Good shout. Yeah,
potentially for it as well.
It is actually quite Suzuki Ignis, because that Ignis is like, hey, that's a 4x4 but left in the tumble dryer too long. Like that's kind of what that. Yeah, no, that's true. That's a very good comparison.
Yeah, I get the feeling that this isn't quite going to be the 4x4, which is a little bit of a shame because I would possibly like a little bit more competition for the Panda out there. LED headlights looking very smart. I do like the bold creases that they've got on the bumpers as well. Plenty black plastic cladding in the wheel arches, front and back. There Interior, yeah, as you correctly said, no real frills on it there. I do like the black X and the kind of the colored trim on the upholstery. It looks really smart. But the main dashboard for me, it really looks like you've lost one of the lenses at your Oakley sunglasses for it. But you know what? For under £15,000, this is good. Yeah, I don't think there's too much there, and there is also a soft top, well, not quite soft top version as well available as well, isn't there?
Yeah, kind of. Kind of the French style zippy back. Not really sure why anyone would do it, but it is an interesting little car. I think the Aygo is clearly coming to the end of life. They did release that. I think they called it a prologue, the concept that came out before. It's similar-ish to that, nowhere near as wild. It does look definitely a lot more Aygo than the concept that was released. But that is not a good. That is not a good thing. Oh, Freudian slip there. That is not a good thing. More cars should look like their concepts. But it is an interesting looking car. It is much more brutish. I think there is a marked need for small urban city cars. You know, the Japanese particularly have done it for years and years with their Kei cars or Kai cars, where they're just tiny little cars with tiny little engines that are brilliant for tiny little suburban Japanese streets, particularly the streets of Tokyo. But they don't go amiss here, particularly in smaller cities and smaller towns where the parking spaces, and I shall tell you now, as someone that drives two very large cars, the parking spaces are not getting bigger in a lot of cases. I had to squeeze our Alfa Romeo Stelvio into a tiny little space the other day. I managed it, and I talked about it all afternoon because I wore it as a badge of honor. But incredibly, I'm getting completely sidetracked. The Aygo X, a nice update. I don't think anyone who buys this would be disappointed. I would, if I was in the market for a teeny tiny little car, it is something I would consider. I'm not, but if I was, this would be up there. And like you say, nice touches on the upholstery with a nice little diamond feel and all the little bits in the headrest and what have you. Kind of a premium place to be.
Yeah, I do quite like the joystick gear stick as well. That's quite smart interior as well. But
yeah, they're doing well at the moment. I think Toyota are doing well at the moment. Tell us what you think. Are you in the market for a new tiny little car? Is the Aygo X something that you would consider? Have you had an Aygo in the past? And has this made you want an Aygo in the future? Or do you think all crossover weird little things where basically they put bigger wheels, slightly honcher arches on it with a bit of plastic trim, a complete and total waste of time? We promise you will find no judgment here, apart from all the judgment that we regularly give people for making wrong decisions, if I'm honest with you.
To be fair, we mostly do those off air, so...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're very, very catty with the whole thing. We will do it exclusively where people can't hear it and won't judge us for it, which ironically is what we'll judge you on. So there we have it. The Aygo X. Tell us what you think. From the sublime to the ridiculous. There's always a story. The world of electric mobility is constantly moving on, and we're going to very quickly touch on a company called Apollo. Now, I'd heard of Apollo, but that
you thought Rocky.
I thought Rocky, yeah. Little known fact: I've never watched any of the Rocky films. I only know the popularized trivia so that I can appear to get by. Apollo, I found out today, are the company formerly known as Gumpert, and those of us who know Gumpert will know that these guys are serious about their cars. So just a quick nod from Apollo this week at the China International Import Expo. That's a proper, there you go. There's a name. They revealed the EVision S, which is a luxury electric saloon concept, I think it's fair to say. So they've been slowly going away from their internal combustion engine crazy cars of the past as they were as Gumpert. We don't know a lot about this car. We haven't seen the interior. They have told us that they are continuing the development of the new 800 volt, I guess, silicon carbide dual inverter in cooperation with Japanese electronic components maker ROHM. Sexy. Basically, they're going to make real quick electric cars. I'm not going to bother with all the anachronisms and all the rest of it that they're talking about. But Apollo is very much making a play for the luxury EV market in the future. The EVision S will then be followed by the EVision X, which will be a luxury electric SUV to rival things like the EQS from Mercedes-Benz. Not bothered, I'll be honest with you guys. Yeah. It's just another luxury EV coming the way of probably not us as a market. And that's my entire thoughts on it. I know that's really mean, but what are the general thoughts on this? You can tell I'm not interested in the slightest, can't you? It's not even hard to disguise.
No, I don't ever want to see your faking it face. I've got to be honest. It does have a bit of a look of the Aston Martin Vantage about it. For it, it's going to be rivaling. For me, you just hit the nail on the head. It's the luxury. It's the higher end. It's the Audi e-tron GT, the Porsche Taycan, as well as the Tesla Model X. Put my teeth back in. I can probably say some of these. But does anybody out there really want a fast, quiet, ultra luxurious, sexy sedan type car? It's just another luxury brand out there that's a bit of a money spinner. They'll do a limited edition, they'll rake in the cash, and then they'll go off and do something else. We really need to start companies producing affordable EVs to the market.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah. It's news, and it's interesting because Gumpert were always quite interesting to me as producers.
Gumpert has to be the worst name for something luxury.
It's German, isn't it? Gumpert. And they made incredible cars. They're actually consultants to BMW, Audi, and all these other types of companies from a motorsport perspective, which is why when I found that Apollo are essentially the incarnate, a further evolution of Gumpert, I believe money was exchanged. That's interesting. And EVs are I don't have a problem with the EV thing, but as you say, let's, affordable EVs, they're coming down the line and that's all good. This, as you say, looks very much Aston Martin-ish. I think it's got the front end of a Supra, middle end of an Audi, kind of GT e-tron, GTE, whatever it's called. Just not bothered by it at all. But tell us what you think. Are you interested in the fact that these very niche manufacturers are turning out EVs? It kind of makes sense. They turned out cars with normal engines. Now they've got to turn out cars with electric capability. That makes sense. Apollo have said that they are going to essentially provide this technology and be a supplier to other companies as well. So that also makes sense. I'm not going to waste any more time on this. I'm not bothered about it. I find it very hard to cover my disdain nowadays in stuff that I'm not interested in. So
yeah, I can go pretty, but that's kind of it. Yeah.
Right, that's basically it. It's kind of like, wow, that's it. It's cool to look at. If I saw one, I'd be interested, but I wouldn't do anything with it. So there you go. That's my whole thing.
Hi, Other Stuart here. You're tuning into Is It Fast? Oh, I miss my beard.
I know. Just needed to interrupt my whinging there. But what an exciting weekend of motorsport we were given on Saturday evening and Sunday evening here in the UK as the Grand Prix travelled to the Central Americas in the second edition of the triple header. First edition of the triple header, I should say. It was race 1 of 3 in a row. The Grand Prix de la Ciudad de Mexico de la Gobierno de Centroamericanos. I made that last bit up, but it's not the Mexican Grand Prix anymore. It is the Grand Prix of Mexico City, but took place. We had a winner that none of us were surprised by, I think, Mr. Max Verstappen. He took the number 1 slot after a poor qualifying. at the Autodromo Hermanos de Rodriguez in Mexico City. Beautiful, beautiful venue. Then Lewis Hamilton coming second. Don't know how he held off Checo Perez in third, who had a absolute stormer. The crowd were going absolutely mad. He was the first Mexican to ever finish on a podium in the Grand Prix at his home, at a home Grand Prix for a Mexican. I'll get there in the end. First Mexican to finish on the podium at their home Grand Prix. There we go. So it does bring the title ever closer home to Max. I think it's fair to say we have now got Max in the lead with 312.5 points, Lewis 293.5. Valtteri Bottas is still third in the championship after a horrendous weekend on Sunday. He did so well in qualifying, finishing on pole. He's on 180 points. And then Checo, who finished third, is fourth overall in the championship on 165 points. So, what a weekend. Did you manage to catch any of it, or did it clash with Strictly for you?
Max extending his lead to 19 points. That is some going. His pace was just electric, wasn't it? It was just really impossible for Mercedes to compete with, even with Hamilton in second. It was some great driving to fend off falling further down the podium. I do want to say that for me, it's very much Verstappen's to lose. 19 points sounds like a lot, but all it would really require is for Max to finish outside of the point in one of the remaining races, and Lewis can do it. There are still, about over 100 points still available to go in the final 4 rounds.
Yeah.
So a lot of what Hamilton's described as digging deep is required. He's also said their car's far superior this weekend. There was nothing we could really do about it. I gave it absolutely everything. I believe that. He's not making excuses, which is obviously positive to hear. There's nothing worse, whatever sport you watch. But right now, it's not looking good for Hamilton and an 8th championship.
It's not. I think there's a lot of things to dissect, and I won't dissect them all. But, and we'd love to hear what you think at home. But the start, considering it was a Mercedes front row lockout, I think they possibly could have done better. I think there was a bit of miscommunication. Valtteri held off a little bit to let Lewis through when it looked like Lewis was going to take it. It's not unheard of for the second grid, whoever's finishing starting third, to absolutely tear along, get the slipstream. It's the cleaner side of the grid and smash through. We've seen it a few times. It does make Max, this victory in Mexico, does make Max the single most successful driver at the Mexican Grand Prix. No one's won it as many times as him now, which is interesting. Everybody knew that this was going to be a strong race for Red Bull because of the setup of the car, the fact that it does perform well, frankly, at altitude. I mean, it's something like 2,000 plus meters above sea level, Mexico City. Makes the air thinner, makes it harder for cars to drive, makes them warmer. I mean, there was a lot of chatter on the radio of tyres getting super warm, cars having to take 2 or 3 seconds back from each other just to cool everything down, which is always really interesting. It is the first of a triple header. We're moving on to Brazil, which again is traditionally quite a good Red Bull circuit. So let us know what you think. I'm with you, Stu. I think it's Max's to lose now. That said, Lewis is Lewis Hamilton. There is such a strong... It changed. I mean, look at, Valtteri would have had a much better race if he wasn't spun out in turn 1. So everything changes super, super quickly. But we're getting to the very, very pointy end of the season. We're getting very, very much near being able to crown a champion. We'd love to hear what you think at home. Who is going to take home the title? Is it going to be Lewis? Is it going to be Max? How are the teams going to get on in Brazil? And then, if you're feeling really fruity, tell us how the teams are going to get on when they make to Qatar for the third in the triple header. I think, do you know what? We're getting close enough to the end of the season now. I think it's Max's.
Yeah. I think for me, it's not Lewis is running out of answers or things like that. It's simply Mercedes have really failed to keep up with the Red Bull engineering and technology. That's kind of it. They are two
Yes.
extremely talented drivers, but this season's Max's.
It is. I think so. But if you are wanting to keep up with absolutely everything that's going on, not just in the F1 Championship, but in your favourite motorsport championships and disciplines across the world and across 2 and 4 wheels, then we have got the app for you.
Results Hub. All motorsport results, all in one place. And now there's an app. Take results with you on the go as we bring you the latest standings from championships around the world. And there's more. Use the app to see who is racing and where with our handy calendar feature. Download the app now. Results Hub. All motorsport results, all in one place.
That's right. Results Hub, the motorsport app that brings all motorsport. Yeah. Oh, mate. What is wrong with me? Brings all motorsport results all in one place. It's completely free. Download it on your iOS mobile device right now, or go to the website where you can sign up completely for free, make a profile, which means you can add your favorite motorsport disciplines and keep up with them, not just in terms of results and what's coming next, but there is a handy calendar feature, which means you can see what is coming up across all of your favorite motorsport disciplines. And I can reveal that in 2022, it's only going to get better. We were talking today with the guys at Results Hub who were making big and significant plans for the app next year. I won't pee on their bonfire. No, I shall not fill their cornflakes full of unwanted liquid. But we can reveal that there's going to be awesome amounts of stuff to do with the app next year and a lot more interaction with your favorite championships as well. I shall leave it at that. I can say no more, and I shall say no more, but it's going to be pretty cool. But we're going to stick with the F1 theme as we go on to our favorite time. What time is that, Stu?
It's TikTok time.
It's TikTok time. That's right. Every single week, we scour the internet to bring you the latest from the world of watches. We love wearing things on our wrist, and this week is no different, as Tag Heuer announced this week that to celebrate 30 years of Ayrton Senna becoming the youngest 3-time world champion, they have released this. So the chronograph, I think it is, but it is a Tag Heuer Formula One Senna special because on the 3rd of November 1991, that was when in a torrential downpour at Adelaide in Australia, it was Ayrton Senna's time to become the youngest ever 3-time world champion, which is absolutely crazy when you look back at it. So Tag Heuer have released this. Obviously, Tag and the Senna brand have been synonymous with each other since 1988, I think. So the relationship has been going for a long, long time, but this is a beautiful piece. It is on a nice, beautiful strap, which is extraordinary, is synonymous with the strap that Senna wore himself, and nice quartz movement on there as well. I don't believe it is a limited edition run, but it is going to cost you in the region of £1,900. That's $2,300 for those of you across the pond. It's a beautiful piece. And what do we think of this?
This is just absolutely beautiful. Playing on the signature black and yellow nod to the driver's helmet. Obviously, is Brazilian roots as well with it. I love the matted black steel, and the yellow just works so well together. Sturdy stainless steel for it, and even just the back of the watch, which not a lot of people get to see. Obviously, having the etched kind of logo of his helmet there, Senna Special Edition on there, it is just beautiful. And I don't think for £1,900 that's not bad. I think it's very good value.
Yeah, well, Tag like to introduce the world of F1 to watch ownership at what they call an affordable rate. And to be fair, given the amount of time, effort, the lineage, the ceremony that their F1 range bring, I think £1,900 is a good starting point. As you say, it is very sturdy. It does look like a sports watch, I think it's fair to say. But overall, nicely done. There's a number of Senna branded watches in the Heuer collection, the Tag Heuer collection. And I think each of them has their own personality, and this is a worthy celebration of 30 years since Ayrton managed to achieve what is just incredible. He's a legend, just a style and a substance that I don't think will ever be beaten, and the watch does that quite nicely. And do you know what? It doesn't scream Senna too much. It doesn't scream F1 too much. It's, as you say, the back of the watch does a great job of commemorating Ayrton's life and achievements, and this achievement particularly. Side note, on the backs of watches, have you noticed over the last few TikToks that there does seem to be, across manufacturers, they're starting to really utilize what sometimes was an underused space? Because you think traditionally, well, the back of the watch ain't no one going to see it.
Yeah.
But it's nice for us, isn't it?
It is nice, yeah. It's part of the full package of it as well. It'd be nice and easy on, if there was a special edition watch, to just put, this is number blah of blah. But you're giving a little bit more detail on it. It's just nice for us watch aficionados.
It is. Every now and again, I enjoy it. I think it's nice, and it's something that feels very special, because it's something, when you put that, it's kind of like your pants. Do you know what I mean? Like you wear a nice pair of pants. Hey, most people aren't going to see them. It's just a little something for you. The back of a watch is like that, isn't it? It's something nice just for you that only you will see when you get back to your bedroom. Because
a little bit of lace and kind of frill and things like that. That's it.
Yeah. I'm not sure where this is going, and I'll stop it before it goes any further. But this is the 30th anniversary of Ayrton Senna becoming the youngest three-time world champion in F1, brought to us by Tag Heuer. Tell us what you think. Will this be your first ever F1 themed watch? Are you already a collector of Tag Heuer F1 and Ayrton Senna themed watches, and will this be added to your ever-growing collection? Really interested to know what you think. I'm not going to buy one. Stu's probably not going to buy one either. But do you know what? Of all the watches we see on here, yes, and you are sporting.
Yeah,
this is the Ayrton Senna commemorative Corinthians football top. Am I correct in thinking
that? It is absolutely right. Yes, he was obviously very proud Brazilian, as well as he loved his football as much as his F1. Corinthians was his team, and they released a limited edition shirt with his signature on the front, and I'm sporting it today.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Find me a Brazilian that doesn't like football.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they're bloody good at it. But there we go. Tell us what you think of Stu's shirt and the Tag Heuer that we've just been talking about. Moving on to current affairs. Every now and again, we do perform the act of very serious journalists, where we bring you news that might actually change the world that we live in from an automotive perspective. And this week, I wasn't going to do this because I didn't realise, because, more of a chip shop newspaper reader myself. But we have got news. Not entirely sure what I meant by that. But we do have news from a company called Connected Kerb?
Connected Kerb, yes.
Look at that. What a genius. Oh, yeah. It's right there in big letters on the video that we just started playing. Connected Kerb. So Connected Kerb this week, they gave us quite an interesting press release. They have promised 190,000 new public on-street electric car chargers. So Connected Kerb, they have been around for a few years. They have been slowly adding a number of electric vehicle recharge solutions to our streets by going around local councils here in the UK and tendering for the right to do so. And they've been doing very well, and they look pretty good. So they are, as part of this levelling up EV charging across the UK, 190,000 new public on-street chargers will be available by 2030. That is what they're pledging. It's an unprecedented rollout. Requires 1.9 billion, or up to 1.9 billion pounds of investment to provide EV charging for the tens of millions of drivers who don't have off-street parking. So if you don't have a driveway or a garage space where you can install your own charger for your electric vehicle and plug it in, it's pretty hard to charge your own electric vehicle. But this is a solution to that. So new partnerships for tens of thousands of chargers confirmed in 2021 alone, 30,000 in the pipeline for 2022. Connected Kerb won the tender with West Sussex in the largest ever deployment by a UK local authority, plus thousands more chargers announced across Kent, Milton Keynes, Coventry and Cambridge. So big news. They reckon 190,000 chargers will be available by 2030 for those of us without a driveway to charge our electric vehicle. Interestingly, I like the name of their charging products. Have you seen this?
Oh, go on.
So they sell, or they have, 3 separate charging devices. So essentially outdoor chargers. One's called a Gecko, the other one's called a Limpet, and the third one's called the Armadillo. And I just enjoy that hugely. I'd love to know why they are called that. But good news, right? I mean, this is one of the big things. If you haven't got a driveway, you can't charge your electric car. But this is the solution to that. And you can see that companies are making moves to do it. What do we reckon?
Yeah, great. I'm delighted that companies like Connected Kerb are getting involved in this. 190,000, where it sounds like a real significant number. Apparently, it's still just about a tenth of the total number that public chargers are being called for by the car industry itself. There does seem to be a little bit of disparity between what the government say there should be, what the car industry say there should be. The Competitions and Markets Authority has said that there should be a requirement of about just under 500,000 by 2030. But this is the issue that people have had with EV cars from day one. The cost of the car itself, the battery cell life, charging time, and where your charging points are going to be. Now, some of these are being addressed, and thanks to kind of Connect Kerb, they are kind of doing their bit. But there's still some other parts that are some way to go. And 2030 is not that far away.
Isn't it? It's quite scary.
Yeah.
Quite scary.
Yeah, we're only looking at about 8 years, and that's it. That's not a lot of time.
Yeah, we are pushing this infrastructure as we go out. You know, COP26 is still happening, and there's lots of developments in the generally in the world to try and make everything more sustainable and better for the ozone layers, which is completely and totally right. If you don't like that statement, then feel free to send us hate mail at PO Box NAFOF. It is just a reality. The world is getting warmer, and cars contribute to that as much as a lot of other things, I know. And I guess electric cars are a solution to that. But yes, we need to be able to charge them up. It's tough, isn't it? Because no one really knows the answer. We know the infrastructure isn't there at the moment. We know that not everyone has a driveway. We know that it's difficult to deal with it. But I think it's important to realise Moore's law. Isn't that the thing where technology and ability gets cheaper and quicker and half the size every year? And we are, if you look at what's available now compared to what was available just 5 years ago, it is night and day. So fair play. Well done to Connected Kerb. Well done on winning all those tenders. We know that writing tender documentation is a proper pain in the backside. So just getting through that process, fair play. But I look forward to seeing one of the 600 that are being installed around Kent over the next little while. I think that was the number. 2021, 600 were installed across the home county of Is It Fast. So that is good news. So there you go. If you want to charge up your car on the street, apparently
we should do like a team. Yeah, we should do like a team selfie with and send a picture to the good people at Connected Kerb.
Do you know what? We will. The very next time we see a Connected Kerb product, whether it's the Limpet, the Gecko, was it the Gecko, the Limpet?
Yeah, or the Armadillo.
Or the Armadillo, we'll get a selfie with it, we promise. But you know what? Fair play. Innovation really is the mother of innovation. So well done. We're going to go on a completely different tangent now. We're going to get super duper luxury. Who doesn't like going on a luxury boat? I know I do. We love luxury boats. So if you have missed, and I wouldn't blame you if you did, if you've missed the Fort Lauderdale, sometimes I wonder, if you've missed the Fort Lauderdale boat show, which happened at the end of October, Where were you? Where were you guys? Crazy.
Not Fort Lauderdale. Yeah.
Not Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale, for those of you who don't know, is a mecca for super yachts, which is why they host an annual show there talking about the latest in the yachting world. And this year, whoosh, they were talking about this. This is a bit of a pin-up poster girl, really, for the super yacht world, because it's quite a beautiful thing. This is the latest from Dutch manufacturer Fedships Yard, I think they call it, in das Nederlanden, and this is called Boardwalk. After Boardwalk Empire, treading the boardwalk, I don't know, but it's a cool name. Stretching 252 foot from the very pointy bit at the front, is that the bow, all the way to the triple deck stern. Stern's at the back. I know that one.
Yeah, stern's at the back. Yeah.
This is, as I say, Boardwalk. It's a beautiful ship. We haven't seen the interior. I'm not entirely sure what it looks like, but we do know who's bought it. So we do know who it belongs to. Do you know who it belongs to, Stu?
I know Christmas is coming up. Is it me?
No. Sorry, I couldn't quite stretch to however much this costs.
I dread to think. Yeah.
This belongs to US billionaire Tilman Fertitta, who is known for, I think he owns more than this, but the over 500 restaurants of the much-loved Bubba Gump Shrimp Company chain. So the guy I know, right? So the guy that owns Bubba Gump is the guy that has bought this. He also owns another ship called West Ship, and he also calls that Boardwalk. It's 164 foot.
If he's not writing Jenny on the side of that boat,
I know
I'm going to be extremely disappointed.
I know. So you really need to see this boat to believe it. It is incredible. It's got 14 knot cruising speed, apparently, with a pair of MTU V16 engines, which will get you up to 17.5 knots top speed, but it cruises at 14 knots. It's got a 154,400 litre tank.
Jeez, that's just absolutely crazy. Do you know its tonnage?
I don't know its displacement tonnage.
Unbelievable. 1,848 gross tonnage. That is unbelievable.
That's a big ship.
Yeah, on the ranking of the largest yachts in the world, the Boardwalk Super Yacht is listed at 197th. So barely makes the top 200.
Isn't that crazy? This boat is massive. The ship is massive. You know the inside's going to look absolutely banging. I want to see the inside of this as soon as we can.
Yeah.
We're not one for super yachts. I mean, we've shown a fair few on the show, certainly on the pod, but it is just testament to human engineering. We do celebrate motorized human engineering on the show, and it is a beautiful vessel. If nothing else, it is a beautiful vessel. And do you know what? I think I might own a little bit of this, considering I have eaten a Bubba Gump quite a few times when I've been up and around the world. So I own possibly a square meter of this. But this is Boardwalk from Dutch manufacturer Fedship. Tell us what you think.
You can't really imagine this, obviously being from Netherlands, that someone's going to be able to take this up and down the canals of Amsterdam where you're on your stag.
Nah, it's not happening.
Just a bit huge. Yeah.
It is a bit huge, but fair play. It's a beautiful bit of craftsmanship. Very lucky man to be able to sail around in her. But tell us in the comments, tell us what you think. Is this somewhere you would like to holiday? If you ended up somehow being a billionaire, would you buy this back? I'm not convinced, but there we go. I think it's a lovely, lovely thing. And if it was ever moored in a dock near me, I would certainly look at it and go, ooh, that's nice. That's as far as I would go. Before we leave you all to get on with your days, dinners, evenings, and other such activities, we will end the show with this rather interesting bit of news that I tell you now could only come out of the United States. So I'm going to hand over to my co-anchor at ABC7, Listen to this.
The mysterious Jetpack Man spotted near LAX and across parts of LA may not have been a man at all. New images from recent incidents released by LAPD appears to show an inflatable balloon resembling Jack Skellington from the film Nightmare Before Christmas. Police released photos and video from a sighting over the Hollywood Hills and Century City. The FBI says its agents worked closely with the FAA to investigate reports of the Jetpack Man in the LA area. They believe people likely saw balloons, not a real man.
I mean, only in America.
This is brilliant. If we could give a little bit of background on this. So it was about late July, early August this year, a Boeing 747 pilot, so a guy who probably should have his kind of wits about him, was reported as seeing an object that resembled a jetpack about man with a jetpack about 15 miles east of LAX at an altitude about 5,000 feet. He was said to tell the airport traffic controllers, "We've just passed a guy on a jetpack." So the idea of Jetpack Guy became very notorious around LA, with lots of witnesses claiming that they'd seen this guy. Well worth pointing out at this point that they've obviously legalized it in LA. If you don't know what that means, kids, ask your mum and dad. But
when he blaze, y'all.
Yeah, that's it exactly. Now, the clip has really just become infamous with this human-like figure soaring over the skies. LA is pretty infamous for its traffic problems, so this could be the answer. People immediately blaming Elon Musk for wanting to replicate the Disney movie The Rocketeer. So essentially, we thought we were getting Iron Man. We've really just got Foil Man. It was a balloon.
When you
fantastic.
see this, right?
Yeah.
There's no... Now, fair enough. If you're on the ground and you look up, I can see... Or if you go past it quickly in a plane, fine. But when you look at the imagery that the LAPD picked up from their helicopter, there is no way that that is Jack Skellington looking at you all day. And it's so funny because you can just imagine people losing their absolute minds over this, and then they go, "Oh no, mate, it's Jack Skellington." But God bless America and all who sail in her, because it is just so odd. It just doesn't happen here.
The FBI were investigating this. This is phenomenal. Do you think that this means that the Card Factory is now a terrorist organization in the eyes of the FBI?
And it should be if it isn't.
So sorry to bust
public
your
health warning.
Yeah, so sorry to bust your balloon here, Stu. It's not a guy on a jetpack.
It's
I'm
not
sorry.
a guy on a jetpack, but there you go.
One more thing.
Yeah.
What did the Nightmare Before Christmas tree say before it was felled? Tim Burton.
Oh no.
Oh.
That is awful.
Oh, come on.
Bit early for Christmas cracker jokes, isn't it?
It was a bit. Or too late for Halloween jokes, depends where you feel for that film.
That's true. We've kind of slotted in between the cracks there. But there you go. Floaty, what was it? Jetpack Man. Was that what they were calling it?
Yeah, Jetpack Man. Or Jetpack Guy. Yeah,
Jetpack Guy. Jetpack Guy. Don't worry, folks. It's not real. It is, in fact, just Jack Skellington. Sorry, guys. But that does bring to a conclusion another week here on Is It Fast Live, the weekly magazine program where we handpick some of the stories from the last 7 days that have tickled our fancy, or in Stu's case, tickled his moustache as he grows it for Movember. Remember to please donate what you can and share our content with those who you feel may also donate, because every little helps. Every mo can save a bro, no matter what that mo is, regardless of what's going on your face. But thank you.
I'm 9 days in. I want to point this out. It's 9 days.
It's 9 days. Admittedly, you do grow an extraordinarily good mustache. I don't, which is why I never do it. I just hand the cash over and make videos with you just to make sure that we do our bit. But please do donate where you can.
Please qualify this. I just hand you cash and make videos. Come on, mate. This is not what we want going out here.
but it is not massively. It's not massively inaccurate. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching and or listening wherever you are. Please do jump on board. Tell us what you think of what we've spoken about today. What would you like to see on Is It Fast in the future? Maybe we might read it, we might not, but we probably will. And remember to follow us on your social media platform of choice to keep up with all the latest news, reviews, and interviews from everything going on here at Is It Fast, where we cover not just what we talk about on the show, but also live motorsport, chats with some of the most influential and interesting people from the world of automotive and motorsport, and we bring you all sorts of weird and wonderful things between. There's some crazy stuff going out on Is It Fast TV over the next few weeks, so please do follow us. But until such time that we speak to you again, thank you very, very much for watching or listening, and donate to Movember. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.
Bye now.